Welcome to yet another episode of Unfiltered Talks with Shahnaz Mirza. I am Shahnaz Mirza, and today my guest is Miss Aparna Mergu. She is the center head at Hope Qatar. She brings over 24 plus years of expertise in psychology and special education. She has supported neurodiverse families, contributed to India's National Intelligence Test, and taught at various levels. She's committed to inclusive education and the holistic, evidence-based and compassionate empowerment of individuals with special needs. Welcome to the show, Ms. Aparna.
Thank you, Ms. Shahnaz.
Now, first of all, we talk of ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. As a layman, what exactly is ASD?
ASD is nothing but Autism Spectrum Disorder is a neurological developmental disorder which affects the child's social interaction, communication and the cognitive process, that is the processing of information. So the child has difficulty in understanding the conditions, absorbing the environment, surroundings. He doesn't process the information, so he doesn't know how to react to that particular question and all. So the child looks aloof and he is into his own world.
Okay, interesting. Now, for a parent, if suppose she notices, the mother or the father notices certain signs, what are the very visible or the common signs and symptoms that such parents will notice in a child that has autism?
This is one of the important question where everybody, like even not only parents, even in your surroundings, if you see have some certain children, so you can basic signs and symptoms like how do you know an autism, this child has features of autism also. The child doesn't respond to name call when called by name, so he doesn't know this is my name, they're calling me. And he also doesn't maintain eye contact, he doesn't look at people when they're talking. They run around, they're restless, they're not aware of surroundings, they does not process the information, they does not take proper instructions, they don't follow the instructions because they don't process the information. So they don't reciprocate to social smile, and they have this repetitive behaviors like rocking the body like this, spinning of objects, or they spin their self in a different way. So these are few symptoms which are signs you can say, yes, there is something different in this child. So these are the things you can identify.
So now that the parent or the mother, father or anybody has noticed these symptoms, what is the next intervention? What is the kind of next process that follows? What should be done with that child?
So
how should we take it forward?
Usually once the parent sees the child is not talking, not responding to the name call, so the parent approaches a pediatrician or a doctor. So then the doctor says that these are the signs and symptoms. Then they suggest them to go for a psychological evaluation. So based on the psychological evaluation, then you come to know that the child is having autism. So once they come to know the child is having autism, then there are a lot of things which the turmoil which the parent undergoes.
Right. And for a lot of parents, I believe it is difficult to even accept the fact that their child has autism. So how can this be mitigated? How can this, that we are telling them that their child has autism, how can this be eased upon them?
It is not easy for a parent to know that my child is not normal.
Right.
So once they come to know, they go in a stage of depression, denial, they don't accept. So when they go into these situations, they complicate the situation more for the child. So when, okay, fine, my child is having autism, so let me know what it is. How can I make my child better? So when they accept that, then they start searching for opportunities. When you're in a denial stage, you close the doors of opportunity.
Correct.
So once you have that acceptance, you start looking for things, what my child needs. My child doesn't speak, so where I have to go. So usually parent only has an impression that my child is not talking. There is no speech in the child. So it is an holistic development. The child, it doesn't speak, then his processing of information is slow. He doesn't understand the concepts. So all these are interlinked and associated. So the child may be hypersensitive to certain sound, sensory inputs. He may, even as a minute sound irritates the child. For some children, the loud noise also doesn't make any impact on the child. So these are all few things where we have to look into and then make the parent understand. So for a parent, it is not easy to accept because nobody will dream of a special child. For them, acceptance plays a major role. Once they accept, definitely they look for opportunities, because as a parent, you always think I should give the best to my child.
Correct. And in terms of age, is there like an age where you can figure it out, or how early can we see that these signs are prevalent? Because the child will have it from birth, of course. So how early can we see that these signs are prevalent in the child?
Earlier, at 18 months, you can identify that there is some difference in the child, like the child is not reciprocating to social smile. When you're talking to the child is not paying attention to you, looking elsewhere. Localization of sounds, when you're making some noise, the child is not looking. Usually when some small sound also, the child gets startled or alert and look from where the sound came. So these children don't respond in those aspects. So then these are few things where we can understand that the child is different. So this is the early stage. So when you're calling by name, so usually when you're interacting with the child maintains eye contact, looks at you.
Correct.
And the child keeps on listening to what the mother is saying and all. And they don't differentiate between strangers and parents also. So any person they may go or they may avoid. So they don't know this is family members or they're outsiders and all. So these are few things that we have to consider.
Wow. So if there is a baby at that young age, that's very scary too. You know, if the baby is left unattended, anything could happen if the baby is not even able to decipher between parents and somebody else. And is that, if we go into the science or the psychology or the back of it in the mind, what exactly is happening in their minds? Why would this child not be able to understand? Or
there are the different causes, like the root cause is still a topic of research. So there are factors like genetic factors, environmental factors, so the prenatal, perinatal conditions during pregnancy of the mother, the stress factors. There are things. So you cannot say that these factors lead to autism, but they may be a chance for the child. And these days, screen time. The child cries, screen time. The child is not eating the food, you're giving the screen time. So when you're giving a screen time, there is no dual communication. The child only sees what he's liking, and there is no conversation. He just keeps on scrolling and seeing things what he likes.
So that could add on, if there is an underlying condition, it could add on. Okay. And also hereditary, can something like this be acquired, hereditary, or?
And we cannot exactly say hereditary, because when you don't know the cause, you cannot say the reason, like why it is.
Okay. And is this something which is temporary? As they grow up, will they grow out of it, or what happens eventually?
Autism is a lifelong condition. It is an ongoing process. The child needs intervention in all the aspects of life. So it is not that now the parent comes to us that the child is having a speech problem. So you're intervening the child with speech therapy, the child develops speech therapy. So you cannot say that the child has achieved speech, so my child is normal. The other areas which are interlinked have already affected. So you cannot say the child will be out of the spectrum. There will be improvement, there will be progress, but it is an ongoing process.
Like for me, I've mostly seen it in movies. So sometimes, there was this movie Rain Man where Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, and they would have some additional ability. So how because we as laymen just know that they're different, they behave differently, but they have some different abilities. Can you shed light on that? What kind of abilities can they have?
See, not all autistic people have that abilities. We call it as savant abilities, like exceptional savant, exceptional skills and all. they have an excellent memory.
Mhm.
I will give an example. Like I had a child. He was with me for a year or so for an intervention. Then we integrated the child into a mainstream. So the child had adjustment problems because he was autistic, but he excelled in things, and the whole school calls him a calendar boy.
Wow.
So I was surprised when the parent came and said, they call my child as a calendar boy. And I asked her what exactly it is. Then she said, you just say your birthday and say the year. He will say, in that year, your birthday was on which day, whether it was a Monday or Tuesday, a fraction of seconds. So, no, you cannot say that. Not all children
All are
have
gifted.
Yeah, so yes, definitely there are some children who have this savant abilities.
Wow. And then can you put them into a normal school? Will they be accepted by their peers, by people around them? Of course, because society and people are not very kind these days. So where do they go? Do they go to normal schools like others?
See, we cannot deny the right of education.
Right.
Yeah, so every child has that opportunity to be in the mainstream. Definitely with support, the shadow teacher, or under the guidance of therapists, you can put them in the mainstream and support the child. Again, you have to see the current possibility of the child, whether he's able to adjust in the mainstream.
For these children, we do know that a lot of times we hear things, there are a lot of myths around autistic children. Can you share with us some myths which are actually not myths, which in reality don't exist?
So one of the most common myth is bad parenting. Autism doesn't come with a bad parenting. It is a condition.
So people say that the parents have been bad or
Yeah.
the child is neglected because of certain reason. That's why he became autistic.
It becomes a blame game.
That's a myth.
The father blaming the mother blaming the father, and there are conflicts between them that is impacting more on the child. And also, bad parenting is not causing autism.
Okay. Any other myths besides this?
There are many myths. They say that all autistic children are non-verbal. Not all are non-verbal. There are children who have excellent speech and all.
Wow. So when they say non-verbal, it means they think that they cannot speak at all, or they cannot learn the language.
Yes.
But they can in reality. And they have exceptional speech as well sometimes.
Yes.
Anything to do with their intellect?
Autism doesn't fall under the mental retardation. Okay. Mental retardation or intellectual disability may be a comorbid condition, but you cannot say that all autistic are intellectually disabled. No.
Okay. That's a good point to know, because a lot of times people would put them under one umbrella.
Yeah.
That if they're autistic, they would also be maybe mentally challenged or something to do.
It may be an associated condition, but you cannot all autistic children fall under that category.
Okay. And for a child, I don't know whether it is true, do they even feel the normal emotions that other people feel? Or
this is one of the biggest myths. They say that autistic children don't have emotions. They have emotions.
Correct.
They express it in a different way. It is, as a therapist, as an educator, as a parent,
correct,
as a human being, you should know.
Okay.
You should see what is the emotion the child is expressing.
Okay.
I believe the whole world understands one language of love.
Correct.
So when you give that, the emotions are just there in that child.
Right.
So definitely, yes, the child has a lot of emotions.
Lot of emotions. Okay, so that's another myth. I'm sure audiences who are listening will try to understand that they do have emotions and they don't come under the umbrella of mentally challenged, because mostly we think that there is something to do mentally wrong with it. All right. And are there any other special interests that they have? Can we classify some kind of interests they have which are different from the others?
It varies from individual to individual because every child is unique.
Correct.
So you cannot tag them that all these children have this specific interest and all. Some are good at music, some play instruments, some sing song. So it varies from person to person. Like when the parent has tapped the child at the right age, had identified what the speciality in the child. So this all, rather than saying disabled or disability, they are children with special abilities.
Correct.
So we have to identify that, and definitely each child has some potential. So definitely we can see that they have some ability also.
And also, when we see in society, it's a cruel society that we live in. But through movies I've seen, sometimes you see that they're smarter, they're more empathetic, or they're more emotionally intelligent, and they kind of teach us a lot also. Have you come across any such situations in your life where you found such kids or such children? Can you share something?
See, we as professionals, we think we are teaching the children.
Right.
But my experiences say that they have taught me a lot. The amount of patience you should have when you're working with a special need child. You just can't sit across the table and instruct the child and do these things.
Correct.
So the way they look at the world, you have to look with their perspective. So what is noise to you may be a music to me. So you always cannot say it is a noise. So you have to see in those perspectives of the child.
Right. Okay. I believe we've learned so much today in this short session. So if I were to summarize, I believe that they are special, but they are gifted and they have abilities which I believe even normal people don't. Like the calendar boy that you mentioned about, that's something very special. And also I've seen that in some cases they do have memories, right?
Yeah.
They will have some special memories.
They have excellent memory. Some of the children, they don't forget. So I will like to cite one example over here. One of my known friends' son. So they have come for therapy. So the occupational therapist has given him some sensory therapy for him. So first the brush, the soft one, the hard one. Then. So the child had gone back to Malaysia, then came after 3 months. So we just were observing what he will do. He just went to that rack, brought down that, and he asked the therapist to do that. She said, no, I don't know, I forgot. He has taken each and every brush in the order she used to do and has done for himself. So this excellent memory they have. So there are children in the different way where you have to identify them and encourage them in those aspects.
And their capabilities completely can shine out. Okay. And as we mentioned before, this is a condition. They will live lifelong with that, right? And in terms of being a part of a society or something, what is it we as ordinary human beings, as normal human beings can do to make them more accepted?
Society acceptance is very important.
Correct.
Because rather than labeling them and saying autistic children, they cannot fit into the society.
Correct.
Accept them, understand them, and be a part of their life. So that really makes a lot of difference. Even because they have emotions, they have that ability to see things in a different way.
Correct.
So we should also go to their level, understand that, and give them that space, because the universe is everyone's.
Wow.
So we have to do that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Miss Aparna. That was so emotional. That was so touching. And indeed, we live in such cruel times that we a lot of times just completely ignore children like this with special needs. And you have touched on such a beautiful subject. Thank you so much for taking out time and coming today and doing this podcast with me.
Thank you for having me. It's a good opportunity to spread knowledge. So I hope this creates a lot of awareness in the society. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Miss Aparna. It was certainly a pleasure to have you. We learned so much today. Stay tuned, guys. This was the end of this episode, Unfiltered Talks with Shahnaz Mirza. And do write to us if you'd like to hear something on the next episode. You can write to us in the comments section of YouTube, or you can reach out to us to Instagram. There will be an email put up in the handle. And till next time, take care. Stay tuned. Unfiltered Talks with Shahnaz Mirza.